Hello there. I'm Jack, and I welcome you to Phantom Chamber, a safe space of dread and distress. Feel free to stick around. I had always been fascinated by Bigfoot, so when I had the opportunity to go on a camping trip in the Pacific Northwest, I jumped at the chance. I packed my gear and set off for the forest, excited to see if I could catch a glimpse of the elusive creature. The forest was dense and dark, and the trees seemed to reach for the sky. The only sound was the occasional chirping of birds and the wind rustling through the leaves. I set up my tent in a clearing and settled in for the night, and the sun began to set. As I lay inside the cozy embrace of my tent, tucked away in the heart of a Pacific Northwest forest, the world outside comes alive with a symphony of sounds and a canvas of natural wonders. The air is cool and refreshing, carrying the earthy scent of damp moss, cedar, and pine. The moon, a soft silver orb, casts its gentle glow through the canopy, creating intricate patterns of light and shadow on the tent walls. The occasional rustle of leaves and a distant hoot of an owl remind me that I am not alone in this wild sanctuary. The forest is alive with unseen creatures, each one contributing its unique voice to the night's chorus. The distant rush of a nearby stream plays a soothing background melody, harmonizing with the gentle breeze that occasionally flutters the tent's fabric. As I listen to the crackling of the campfire outside, its warm light flickering through the tent's entrance, I feel cocooned in a peaceful solitude. The night sky above is a masterpiece of celestial artistry, a canopy of twinkling stars set against the dark expanse. The air is crisp, carrying a hint of mist that clings to the edges of the forest, adding a touch of mystery to the scene. Then all of a sudden, the forest went quiet. Also, the fire went out, adding even more eerie feeling to deathly silence, which occupied the atmosphere around me and my tent. I was in the middle of nowhere. A few minutes later, the rain started to fall. I zipped up my tent and huddled inside, trying to stay warm. The rain beat down on the tent, and the wind howled through the trees. I felt completely isolated and alone. I was sitting in my tent, listening to the rain beat down the canvas. The wind was howling through the trees, and I could hear the occasional crack of thunder in the distance. Suddenly, I heard a loud howl. It was followed by another, and then another. The howls were getting closer, and they sounded like they were coming from all around me. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I had never heard anything like it before. The howls were so loud and so close that I felt like they were right outside my tent. I listened for a few more minutes, but the howls didn't stop. They just kept getting closer and closer. I was starting to panic. I didn't know what to do. I decided to unzip my tent and take a look outside. I slowly unzipped the tent and peered out. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could still hear the howls. They were even louder now. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I had to calm down. I couldn't let the howls scare me. I opened my eyes and looked out again. The howls were still there, but they didn't seem as loud as before. I could see a few shadows moving in the darkness, but I couldn't tell what they were. Suddenly, I heard footsteps outside my tent. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The footsteps stopped, and I held my breath. A moment later, I heard them again, getting closer. I slowly unzipped the tent and peered out. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could hear the footsteps getting closer and closer. I was terrified. Suddenly, I saw a silhouette on the other side of the tent. It was tall and bulky, and it moved slowly and deliberately. I knew it was Bigfoot. I zipped up the tent and huddled in the corner, too scared to move. I could hear the creature outside, sniffing around my tent. I thought for sure it was going to tear through the tent and attack me. After a few minutes, it stopped sniffing around and walked away. I waited a few more minutes, just to be sure, and then I unzipped the tent and stepped outside. Forest was still dark and silent. I looked around, but I couldn't see the creature anywhere. I had no idea where it had gone, or if it was even real. I packed up my gear and headed back to my car. I was shaken by the experience, but I was also exhilarated. I had finally seen Bigfoot, and it was even more terrifying than I had imagined. I drove home in silence, thinking about what had happened. I couldn't believe that I had actually seen Bigfoot, but I knew that I would never forget it. The experience had left me with a sense of fear and dread, but it had also given me a sense of wonder and excitement. I knew that I would never be the same again. The encounter left me with a few lasting impressions. First, I was struck by the sheer size of the creature. It was much taller and bulkier than I had imagined, and it had a powerful presence. Second, I was surprised by how intelligent the Bigfoot seemed. It knew exactly where I was, and it seemed to be deliberately trying to scare me. Finally, I was amazed by how calm I was during the encounter. I was terrified, but I was also able to stay calm and rational. I think this was because I had always been fascinated by Bigfoot, and I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I've never seen Bigfoot again, but I'll never forget the night I saw it. It was a terrifying and exhilarating experience, and it left me with a sense of wonder and excitement that I'll never forget.